Sunny Acres area, and it is causing a traffic backup. As a matter of fact, Miguel Fevrier, who had indicated that he would be coming in to sit with me for today's program, phoned me earlier to say that he was caught up in this same accident. I hope the seriousness, the severity of it does not extend to bodily injuries to anyone. Of course, we know vehicles can get damaged, they can get repaired. It's a far more delicate and complicated thing to restore a human being who has injuries, crushed bones and joints and that sort of thing. We don't even need to go into it. So to the people involved, I really hope that, it works out for the better for you, and that you will be coming out of this, as we have come out this week, out of Hurricane Beryl, fairly unscathed, relatively speaking, to other territories that were impacted. And I just want to say, it's been a week where we have a lot to be thankful for, when we see what Beryl did to Carriacou, to Grenada, to St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, to Barbados, what we heard about in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, etc. We have a lot to be thankful for, that we could have ended up a lot worse than we actually have, and so on. It may or may not be so the next time. So let us, whatever preparation that we had in place for the approach of Beryl, that we keep them updated, we keep it dusted off and so on, so that we don't find ourselves crumbling should anything similar or worse or even not so bad find its way to us. But the roads, it's another thing. You've heard me talk about some of the craziness that I see happening on the roads. It doesn't mean that every instance of an accident is some kind of craziness, but I don't know, especially when it comes to the use of roundabouts. You've heard me comment on that many times, and I don't know that this accident that I'm told about had anything to do with a roundabout, but I'll talk about that in a while. It is extremely alarming. It is extremely frightening to see the things that are taking place at roundabouts, which I'm becoming more and more convinced that there are people who are driving on the roads who don't know how to use a roundabout, and like I said, this is scary, to think of what you are seeing. And a lot of the times when I see people doing that at roundabouts, a lot of time, not every time, it's minibus drivers, people who have the lives of others. The other day I saw something with a taxi driver, and I had to really honk my horn at him pretty angrily, because the guy is coming from my left, means I'm coming from his right. He is supposed to give way to me, and that is at the shock roundabout, where I am coming from, the direction of Massey Mega and Caribbean Cinemas, etc. So I am coming so that I can pass the roundabout and to continue on my way up north. And he's coming from the direction of Castries, and the guy insists he's pushing ahead, into my way. And I tooted him very loudly and continuously, and eventually he gave way. But like he had no intention of doing so otherwise. And when you find people like taxi drivers, and I believe the requirements for getting a license or a permit to operate a minibus, I think there's a public service vehicle driver's license or something, that you're supposed to go through some special examination and criteria that you have to fulfill. And taxi operators, I would assume the same too. When you go through those things, to me, the operation of a roundabout and how to correctly approach and to use it, the giveaway, etc., you should know those things. You should know those things by heart. You should know those things by instinct. But more and more, I am coming across instances of bus drivers. The taxi driver is probably an isolated one, who come, roundabout, you coming from their right, and the guys are coming like they never had any intention of giving way. If you did not apply the defensive driving you've heard me talking about, that you can see when somebody is probably going to crash into you if you proceed according to your right of way and so on. And this right of way, don't interpret it too literally or in too much of a hard-nosed, hidebound way. Watch yourself. Your safety matters. You might be right and you end up being paralyzed or even worse and so on. And they have no intention of stopping. They're going and they're pushing on as if, and they're giving you attitude if you told them, etc., like they have a right and so on to do it. I see this craziness happening all the time. And the last time it happened to me, when I saw a bus driver, the way he did it, like he was totally oblivious that he was supposed to be the one to give way, I said to myself, this is scary. This is very scary. when you think of people like minibus drivers and taxi operators who do not know that they are supposed to give way to traffic coming from their right at a roundabout. But let me tell you something even more scary than that. It's scary enough, and I've seen it at the very Sunny Acres roundabout, which I've spoken of. You take the right lane when you go in northward, with the intention you give way to what is coming from your right, meaning if somebody is going all around the roundabout, and they have a right to go all around, and to, if they want to, when they're coming out of the Sunny Acres gap, you're supposed to watch. If they're going to cross in front of you, you're supposed to give way to them. But by the time you make the turn yourself to go into Sunny Acres, traffic coming from the north, from Groseley side, they're supposed to give way to you. Whether you go into to make a complete turnaround to go back towards town, a complete turnaround to go back around the roundabout, or to go into Sunny Acres, they're supposed to give. But that's what happened yesterday, and that's the scary thing I'm telling you about. I was driving with the intention of going up north. I don't think I was going to turn into Sunny Acres, so I was in the outer lane, what you call the left lane, the left northbound lane, and so on, intending to go and to continue on my way, up north and so on. I can't even remember where I was going to, Groseley, whatever it was. No, I think I was going up to some gas station or something to get something that I'd seen there and so on. And there was, among other vehicles, in the inner lane, traveling up north. So you can say you're going up north, the right lane, the right northbound lane, and there was a red small SUV, bright red. Whether it's a Terios or Hyundai or whatever, but one of those small Jeeps and so on, SUVs, in the right lane, indicating that this person is probably intending to turn into Sunny Acres. Maybe not. They can continue in the right northbound lane, and then they take, continue around the roundabout and turn left into continuing up north. But whatever. But what alarmed me and what was scary was that suddenly this individual did not go around, did not give way to traffic coming from the right, and then to go around the roundabout and turn into Sunny Acres. The individual on the side of the roundabout facing Castries. Listen to me carefully, the person is traveling north. They're in the inner lane, okay? Because it's the left dual carriage or whatever that you're going up now. They're in the inner lane, so you assume that they're going to approach the roundabout and probably turn into Sunny Acres. But they didn't bother going around the roundabout. They didn't bother giving way to traffic coming from their right. The person on that side of the roundabout made a sudden turn to go into Sunny Acres without going around the roundabout, passing the side that is facing north. Right on the southbound side, they made a turn across the lanes of traffic that would have been coming from their right and the two lanes of traffic that are coming from north. And I when I glanced and I saw this was happening, I started hearing horns tooting, because people have already passed the roundabout to continue their journey through town. People are coming from the Sunny Acres gap, and that little red Jeep just suddenly turns across all those lines of traffic, those that are southbound, those that are coming from the Sunny Acres, and the person is trying to turn into Sunny Acres on the southern side of the roundabout. Not going around it, right there. They just cut across and they're going. I'd never seen it happen before. Never seen it happen before. And I forced myself to turn away for two reasons. To keep my own concentration on the road, and because I'm certain that, as we say in our Creole, all amotikai passy. Somebody gonna die. Something must happen there. And I'm waiting to hear a bang and a crash, and I don't want to see it. Like I said, I have to keep my own focus on, I'm traveling there, but not even in my rearview mirror at that point do I want to, because I'm saying, if that person gets impacted, that's going to be a multi-vehicle pileup. If a heavy vehicle is coming and they slam into that little Jeep, the people inside it, they might suffer serious injury and damage. They might even die and so on. And I said, that's a perfect recipe. But thankfully, I drove along and I didn't hear any loud bang, and I didn't hear of any report of an accident. But the person is like completely unaware. And I said, what? If that is a St. Lucian, that's a St. Lucian who has lived overseas for some time, and they come back and they just jump in a vehicle and they're not familiar with the road conditions there. Because who does that? Who does that kind of thing, and you're a licensed driver on the road? And I want to say, if you're a St. Lucian, you come back to your country and you get your license renewed, whatever and so on, it may not be a bad idea if you've been away for sufficiently long to let some local friend or family member or whatever drive you or guide you, whatever, instead of just jumping on the road. I didn't see anything. Maybe it's a visitor. I don't know. But if you have people who can do that kind of craziness at roundabouts, along with the other craziness that I see happening, people, we're in a lot of trouble. We're not getting better. The other thing I see happening a lot now, on this dual carriageway with the median barriers, is people cutting in front of the other vehicles. They don't seem to glance to see if it is clear, if there's enough space, if the person is coming alongside you with sufficient speed or not. That gives you a time to indicate. And some people believe that once they indicate, they can just an indication is to exactly that, to give a hint, an indication, a signal to the other driver that you intend to change lanes. It doesn't mean that you just indicate and you change lanes when there's barely enough space for your vehicle to fit, when you can slam into somebody, when somebody can slam into you, somebody don't want to yield to you and relent to you. And this kind of changing lanes is being done crazy now, more than I'd ever seen. I do not know. To me, we have to have something done about that. We must have something done about it. And I keep saying, it is impossible for you to bust every single person, but if you bust a few and word goes around that the police, motorcycle patrols, drones, whatever it is, are watching this sort of thing in the areas where they know they happen most frequently, and you nab a few people, sometimes that is all you need to do for the deterrent effect on others. The way people are driving is asking for it. You can almost feel it is coming, that we have it coming. But those who do it and have it coming for them, it is never they who get it or they alone who get it. Other people who are driving properly have to take evasive action. Sometimes the final position of an accident does not reflect what has happened. You see somebody rushing towards you or doing something, you take evasive action. When people come, they will see is you that's in the wrong position. But you are not in the wrong position. You did what any normal human being would do. You see somebody going to cause an accident and you unavoidably going to crash into them. You pull away, you do this, you move your vehicle, somebody doing some crazy overtaking, and you see them rushing straight towards you. It is normal, it is human. You will pull your vehicle either hard to the left, hit a pedestrian, hit a vendor, hit a vendor's stall, mash up all their trays and their produce and whatever, cause an accident, or you're going to pull into the inner lane. At that point, desperation takes over. And sometimes where people see your vehicle, you to the right, you out of your lane and so on. Oh man, this man caused the accident. Look at where he ended up. Tell me how many of us you're driving some small vehicle, relatively speaking, some flimsy vehicle, and you see some kind of minibus or whatever, bigger vehicle, heavy, even a smaller vehicle, motorcycle, rushing straight at you, and you're not going to feel that sense of terror and even panic that will cause you to try to take evasive action, which sometimes can make the overall situation worse. How many of us are steeled enough to hold our nerve when you see somebody coming around a blind corner and they're in your lane and they're coming straight at you, whatever, and you can almost already sense that horrible impact and noise and the pain and whatever, that you are going to be in seconds, if that much away from it, that you're not going to try to do something to save your life. And it's not going to be something logical and so on. I do not know. People, something needs to be done about it. Too many liberties. And the sad thing is, you may assume that it's young people, it's new drivers. But when you see somebody who's a taxi driver, meaning there are limits to the age and the amount of experience and the endorsement that you need to be a taxi driver or a minibus operator. Again, the public service vehicle driver's permit or driver's license, whatever the criteria for it, you must have a minimum age, you must have a minimum amount of driving experience, you must have certain endorsements, you must have gone to do a defensive driving certificate course or whatever it is. All those sorts. It can't be young people doing that. It can't be greedy-headed, crazy young people doing that sort of thing. So I don't know how we're going to solve it, but solve it. We have to. Because you see, with the median barriers and the sidewalks and so on, you can find yourself in a situation where you're boxed in and nothing you can do and no evasive action that you can take. And when people do the craziness that I see happening on the road, your options are very limited in terms of the evasive or corrective action you can take. I've spoken already about the defensive driving and how you have to drive like when you play in dominoes with a weak partner, like you play in your 7 cards and you have to play their 7 for them too. You know, there are some situations where it don't apply. What you going to do? Let us take, for example, that section of road from, it's a long section of road from the VG roundabout going all the way up to the Shock roundabout, sidewalks, concrete sidewalks on the side of the road, the median barriers. Somebody doing this kind of madness there. What can you do in such a situation? So, I think I've said enough on it. There's been a change of government in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The British Labour Party, led by former DPP Keir Starmer, has stormed to power in a landslide victory. I think they have decimated, and that is putting it mildly, the Conservative Party that has been in power for the last 14 years. What is the significance of that? What it will bring to the UK, and what will be its impact for us, on us, in the Caribbean, in CARICOM, in the OECS? I don't know. Keir Starmer is not a guy I have studied too much. Like, you have your focus on other people like Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and Theresa May and so on. He's not a guy, for some reason, I've done a lot of reading on about him and heard much about him. So I really don't know. What I would advise, or what I would suggest, is that we don't take anything for granted. It's very easy for us to believe that British Labour Party, St. Lucia Labour Party, there is some kind of ideological alignment and solidarity, and they will be more understanding to us and those kind of things. I don't know. A friend called me yesterday to say those things, to tell me that those things, they don't really matter, and they don't really political parties now don't take any much notice of this in terms of historical solidarity and socialist international camaraderie and so on and all of that. It's all about interests. There's no kind of historical ties and that sort of thing. Sometimes you can be surprised that those you think are your ideological and natural allies and so on, they can take certain positions that can seem to be a lot more cruel towards you than those that you believe you don't have any kind of philosophical or ideological or political kinship with them. You've heard me say a few times, and someone sent a message to that effect, that the worst days of our banana industry, to me, in terms of that transatlantic banana trade war, and when, the Chiquitas and all of that wanted to obliterate our very tiny share of the market, which really was not moving the needle in any way against them, but they just wanted to blow away the preferential treatment, and this thing went to court and back and forth. The high water mark in the battle against us was when Bill Clinton was in office. The Democrat, the guy that in the Caribbean we admire, and we believe that this guy is a hero in some way. I don't know, the same way for Obama. Where we seem to believe that there's something so great about Obama because he is biracial and we call him black and this kind of thing. To me, neither Bill Clinton nor Barack Obama, that they ever did anything that you can say is particular or special for the Caribbean. I just don't know. Obama did something about Cuba, but right to the end of his presidency, when he was about leaving, and Donald Trump quickly reversed almost everything, so that in the end it was worse for the Cubans. I'll tell you why I say it's worse. When you go and you rearrange your chessboard and your pieces on it and all of that because you believe it heralds a new era in Cuba-US relations, you relax, you open up, you do this and all of that, and all of a sudden they come and they just essentially throw a monkey wrench into all little progress that you've made. At times you have come to stick so much on what you think is the new era, and then some joke. And that's a problem with America, you know. Some joker, especially when it comes to foreign affairs and foreign trade and so on. Presidents have a lot of discretion and liberty that they can go about. And in other words, the domestic scrutiny that they will face for things within America is not as stringent as it is when it has to do with the foreign relations and so on. They have a lot of latitude and so on. And so Donald Trump came and like everything that was negotiated under Obama, the guy essentially, you know, tossed it out. The Iran deal on the nuclear things, the transatlantic Pacific or trans-Pacific trade, TTPS and so on. I mean, everything the guy just went, he just pulled out of it. Well, predictably, anytime Republicans come in, any climate change agreement goes out the window. They fly that out. You know, nuclear deals and so on, intermediate nuclear forces thing and so on, which is all part of the reason, you know, I don't like Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, but I know, yeah, I don't understand how Putin feels. If you go and you unilaterally pull out of a treaty which is supposed to, you know, say we limit the amount of missiles that we deploy within a certain space and so on, we just go and do that and Ukraine qualifies for it, and next thing Ukraine is going to become a member of NATO, so you can come and put those kinds of missiles in Ukraine that, you know, you have to understand things, so I do, you know. But for some reason, Donald Trump is the one who caused all of that, and he's the one Vladimir Putin likes, you know. He don't seem to like the, you know, the Democrats and so on and all of that, the SALT treaties and all those things. And so I want to say I wouldn't read too much into the Labour Party's victory in the UK as it pertains to what it would mean for us. The transatlantic banana war was facilitated by the Clinton administration. I mean, even the rhetoric coming out of it that the Caribbean should get out of bananas while they can, and if the Caribbean has a future, it's not in bananas. And I mean, this thing went on. It's like there was absolutely no compassion for us and so on, to obliterate us and everything in it. And amazingly, who became president after Clinton and said, look, this banana trade war, I'm bringing an end to it? George W. Bush, you know. And I have to stop and look at those things and say, you know, those fellas, I don't like them, you know, so much. But look at them. He comes there and he says, you know, and he adopts a lot more considerate and compassionate tone towards the Caribbean. And I had to ask myself, I am so vehemently and intractably opposed to people like, you know, the Republicans and the George Bush and so on. But look at Bill Clinton, that many of us consider a hero, you know. Barack Obama, you know, I have to think of a lot of things about him. You know, this biracial thing that we played up and so on. You know, Obama, it was under his presidency, Biden was his vice president, that there was this revocation of visas left, right, and center of people, you know, in the Caribbean, you know. And a lot of them said they don't know. They honestly do not know why the United States revoked their visas. They were never told. They were never called to the embassy for an interview. Never told anything. And that is a universal thing throughout. Denzel Douglas said as much. They never told him that this is what you have done, whatever. It's just, you know, the strong arm power politics is our right. It's our visa, so we can revoke it anytime. You know, Richard Frederick to this day says he's never been given a reason why his visas were revoked. And it went on and on and on and on like it was a power politics kind of thing, you know, that was being played against people that they didn't like at the time, using the visa power and so on. And that happened under Obama. You know, this whole Leahy law application to St. Lucia and suspending aid to us and no participation in anything that they're funding RSS or anything, that happened under Obama. Now, I'm not passing a verdict of judgment on it. I'm just saying that the screws were turned on the Caribbean under the Obama administration, to me, more than any other administration, including the Republicans. So I might be railing about Donald Trump and this thing, and you never know. Donald Trump might come in and he might cut us some slack, and he might give us some break in something. I mean, the Democrats came, and if you know what they did to Antigua and Barbuda when it comes to the online gaming industry, the thing was okay in terms of the agreement negotiated. Remember when we were pushing WTO on us? WTO rules and international obligations and the new rules-based order. Well, guess what? Antigua and Barbuda had an online gaming industry and it was thriving. And they just figure, hey, you know, that might be too much money that might be leaking out of their economy into Antigua and Barbuda. Capital flight, you know. They don't want that, so they just declare that it is illegal and they block all the online gaming sites of Antigua so people could not do online gaming. Antigua and Barbuda took the United States to court, to the international whatever, WTO and so on. And it was a 3-stage process, just like we have a 3-stage process of High Court, Court of Appeal, and now CCJ before it was Privy Council. Antigua won America and imagine that, puny Antigua. How many lawyers could Antigua have hired and diplomats? Antigua won America at every single stage of the court process. They told America, no, you're at fault, and you have to compensate Antigua. For every year that you have blocked it, you have to compensate them to the tune of $21 million. They have ignored that ruling. They have not given Antigua and Barbuda a dime. Destroyed what was a thriving plank of the economy. That's why when we come now and we talk about the CIP, we have to be very careful that we're not just jumping up to the tune of what America say and what Martinez say and all of that. A lot of it boils down simply to this. They do not want money leaving their jurisdictions and flowing into ours. It must always be the other way. It must always be that they come there, they put in their hotels, the extractive industries, and then they insist that part of the investment deal is that they must have a US dollar account and that they must be free to repatriate their profits back to their country so the money leaves us. It's always one way things flow, according to Beres Hammond, One way things flow, Yeah, they must take from us, but we must not. So if you have a citizenship by investment, citizens of theirs who might say, okay, it's not just a matter of coming to invest in a place of low taxation, unlimited labor and so on, as Affelry said, all of that and so on, and we can put it. But we have a sunshine thing. I can come down, put my investment, and while it's working there, I can go down to Casaba Beach on a beach chair, relax myself. The water is so warm that feels like I'm in an open sauna all year round and so on, relaxing myself. But all they're thinking of is that the wealth that is in their country is coming to yours. It don't matter when it is. So what they're trying to do is to block CIP because they believe they're blocking capital flight from their own country. So they put in all kinds of conditions. As soon as you meet that condition, they put another one. The goalpost is shifting on you all the time. And they put the squeeze by putting something called FATCA, the Foreign Accounts Tax Compliance, Act and whatever. So that even Americans who decide to bank their money in our system, maybe giving it some greater liquidity, some greater resilience, some greater... They want you to report to them everybody who has a green card, even if they were born in St. Lucia, if they have an account in St. Lucia, how much money they have in it, and all this kind of thing, so that they can decide if it is subject to taxation. So the money is in your banking system, but America taxing it, because all the concern is money outside their jurisdiction. And a lot of those things were either implemented or enforced and pursued under Republican administrations, including Obama. So with Keir Starmer and Labour and all of that, but I ain't having my hopes too high on them kind of things. We've been disappointed before, we can be disappointed again. And like I say, it can't be coincidence that after they will not put out for us as much as they can, and the amount of money they put in Ukraine, they put in this, they put in that, in the Middle East and so on. If they put even a little 1% of that in the Caribbean and so on, we're going to be well set. But whenever we have governments and leaders that seem to take a compassionate approach to the Caribbean and St. Lucia, Venezuela under Hugo Chavez continuing under Maduro, Cuba under the Castros and so on, all the scholarships those people give us and all the help those people give us. You think they really need us? Taking food and things out of their own mouth to give us and so on. Venezuela with the Miracle Eye Care Program and Alba and all of these things they're giving to us. Gaddafi and all what he wanted to do, but the US banking system and thing blocking the aid that he wanted to give, to the Caribbean and the development bank he wanted to set up. In the end, is it any coincidence the kind of war that they had against Cuba, against Venezuela, and eventually overthrow, Gaddafi just when he was going to do good for us here in the thing? I have to ask myself questions, and Obama being part of it, and eventually NATO going and bomb, Libya and kill Gaddafi or hand him over to be killed and this kind of thing. I've had to reevaluate and ask myself that my little ideological leftist socialist leaning thing, whether it squares with the practical realities. And so that is the view That is the skepticism and the wariness with which I greet the massive victory of the Labour Party in the UK and the swearing in of Keir Starmer as the new Prime Minister. Nigel rang the bell. It means I've gone way past, the commercial break. Yes, yeah. But we'll be back shortly. Yeah.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and streaming with us. 758 453 7458.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Everyone for tuning in to and staying with the real issues on this Friday, the 5th day of July. It's our final program for the week, and what a week it has been. I'm Shelton Daniel, and I'm now joined by two people. Miguel Fevrier has finally made it through after the delay on the road because of the traffic incident we alluded to in the Sunny Acres area. So Miguel, good afternoon and welcome once again to sit in with me. Thank you so very much. Yes, and Jaquan has also... Did Miguel give Jaquan a ride? So Jaquan is here with us. So we want to thank Nigel for holding it together for us in the first half hour. And Jaquan will be doing his thing till the end of the program today. Miguel.
Shelton, good afternoon to your viewers and listeners again. And while I may not have given Jaquan a ride, I want to give him some compliments because I watched him on television last night again, and he looked and sounded really well. All right, okay. You really have that professional anchor look, and sound, voice.
Wow. If I were Dominic Fede, I would mash up this thing.
As you go a little higher. Boom. Yeah, man. Shelton, of course, I want to just touch on the first thing you said. I listened on my way here, and incidentally, I was delayed by a traffic accident. I'm not sure what happened because I didn't really see it. I didn't see it.
You just know the backup effect.
Right, and there was some desilting work going on by the Shock Bridge, and my colleagues at the Ministry of Infrastructure said, "If you go into town," I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, pass through Union," and even through Union, there was a lot of traffic.
Okay.
So it wasn't that bad, but on the point, your point about the use of our roads, I want to call out, and let me just make it clear, this is not me targeting the gentleman because of whom his son is, and my relationship or lack thereof with the former Prime Minister. But when we speak about dangers on the road, we normally, the statistics show that the younger demographic, especially the males, are the ones, just like the crime, are the ones who are normally involved in those serious accidents. I'm talking about either fatal or where people get serious injuries, obtain serious injuries. But we also have to look at the older demographic and their use of the roads, which is why you'd find with the Ministry of the Division of Transport, there is a particular test which older folks, when they get to 70, 75 have to take, so that it will certify them, ascertain their worthiness to obtain a driver's license or to renew their driver's license. Mr. Michael Chasney is one whom I've experienced on more than 3 occasions. His driving, and I'm wondering whether it's a matter of age, whether he's always been that slow a driver, and I use the term slow loosely. I've found on many occasions you've seen him exiting what we would normally know as the entrance to the Gablewoods Mall. This is the road that would take you to the SDA school and also to the MNC part.
When you're coming from north, you have to access
the first left.
When you're southbound coming from the north, and when you reach the area, it is that entrance into the Gablewoods Mall that you have to turn left to get into.
Yes, that entrance. And what I have noticed is that Mr. Chasney would exit there. I mean, conventionally, drivers, you'd find them exiting through the inn. What's the name of that inn? Friendship Inn. The Friendship inside where the roundabout is located.
Okay, all right.
So what he does,
call the Sunny Acres
roundabout.
Yeah, okay.
So what he does is that he exits through that entrance to Gablewoods, and instead of taking the outer lane right away. He just goes straight into the inner lane.
Yeah, straight to the inner lane,
And
straight to the right southbound.
yeah, and that is fine if you're driving at a considerable pace.
And if it's good, if it's clear,
If it's clear.
as far as your
If
eye
it's
can
clear,
see.
exactly.
Because guys can really pep down there and so on.
But that's the interesting thing, Shelton, because you and I mean drive at a normal pace, exit there, and you would still have time in a decent amount of time to get into that lane, out join the traffic without having to inconvenience the oncoming traffic from the southbound traffic from the north. But what he does is he goes at a very snail pace. He crosses the outer lane, then he goes onto the inner lane at a slow pace, and he continues driving at that slow pace.
Yeah.
There were
Until
two
he
occasions
reaches- until he reaches the
until he reaches
Sunday-
wherever he's
Sunday
going.
roundabout.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
There were two occasions where I nearly knocked Mr. Shastney, and I brought it up in public forum, and people have said the same about it. Now it brings to mind the processes within the Ministry of Infrastructure or the Department of Transport, and I would call on the permanent secretary who served a long time as the chief transport officer. What I have noticed, and from my own observations on numerous occasions, is that the examiners themselves, you'd find someone who's 70, 75, they come in, they need to take a check, what they call a check test, which will determine their roadworthiness.
Right.
They come in with a doctor's certificate, a medical certificate, and which will normally state that they are fit, right? But how many of those certificates really are genuine and really did those doctors really do a full examination with
Right.
eyesight, and that kind of thing? Then next, they bring it in, and the exam that they do, the check test, they don't go anywhere. They may drive around the ministry 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. I don't think that is sufficient to determine your ability to drive at your advanced age.
Right.
So I think there should be a recalibration of what is that process, what should be done, and I think it's very important because quite apart from the young people causing a lot of those accidents on the road, we have a lot of older folk who are not aware,
Right.
who may be losing a lot of their faculties in that sense, or even their reflexes, and I don't think the test at this point is sufficient to determine their roadworthiness.
Right. And even what you said about Shastney and I suppose other people at that age, there is something called your peripheral vision. So you are coming out of there, but to be able to discern and to spot traffic coming from north and so on, you may be impaired. Your peripheral vision, whether because of glaucoma, whether because of other reasons, may not be what it was. Your whole reflex in terms of turning your neck, turning your head to see what is there, it may be a little sluggish. It may not be what it is, because generally, let's face it, at 80, 85, 80, whatever, you have declined, you have
Even your
depreciated.
depth perception
Yes.
in terms of
Yes.
determining how fast
How
this
far
vehicle
it
is coming and
fast it's coming.
whether
Yes,
you can make it or not.
You may not be able to make that. And you're bringing this up, and I think it goes without saying, if you were not concerned about Mr. Shastney, you would not be saying that. You
Yes,
understand?
yes.
It's not a case of any kind of vendetta or any kind of grudge or anything of that sort. I mean, this gentleman has lived long, thank God for him and so on. He has made a contribution to St. Lucia. We're not hating on him because his son happens to have followed a path that maybe we don't support, and Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Michael Shastney has been a staple feature of St. Lucian.
And I like him.
economic
I
life.
like him. I love
And so on,
interacting with him.
But the last thing you want is for him to have lived his life and made the contribution that he has, and then for him to meet his end, in
that way.
In a horrific smash, at the end there. So whatever it is and so on, I hope attention will be paid. Those who can persuade him, to
Get a driver, he can afford one.
Yeah, he lives very close to the area.
He does, he does.
And there's no shame in Mr. Shastney having a driver at this age. Mr. Shastney at in his mid 80s, I think, at the very least, and so on. At this stage and so on, he probably needs to have someone to drive him around and so on. The eyesight, whatever, may not be what it used to be. Yeah. And as you say, depth perception and all of that. So let's hope that we don't hear any bad news pertaining to him on the road. Yeah. Go ahead, Miguel.
The second point was when we spoke about the view or the suggestion that there should be some sort of kinship between political parties spread throughout the world. I will tell you, I don't put too much stock in where that is concerned in terms of relationship between political parties, whether you groups of Democrats or you liberals or whatever. In terms of the election, I don't put too much stock in terms of the party, but foreign policy, especially as it relates to us. And like you so rightfully said, the Obama administration, even domestically in the US, you find that black people will tend to see that Obama as a black man, especially of African descent as well, did not do much for it's arguable, you could argue that, but did not much for the black community in the United States and the black population. I think in the Caribbean, you'd find that more of that kinship and more of a kinship in terms of ideology, political ideology, more because we share a lot more common things in terms of our population size, our history, and everything, and even in terms of our social policies, the status quo as it relates to our social standing. We have a lot more in common, so therefore it will profit us more if our political parties, whether they be liberal or conservative, they align themselves together, and we look for this harmonized form or system of development. And I will continue to harp about my view at CARICOM. We've been moving too slow as CARICOM. I think we continue to regress farther than we take one step forward, we take 2 steps back. So I don't put much stock in, apart from foreign policy, as it relates specifically to the Caribbean, in the new elections. Well, Trump is a different case. Maybe Boris Johnson was a different case, because you like you said, you may be surprised to see Trump may enact some policy which ultimately
may be considerate, a lot more compassionate to us in the Caribbean and the developmental and economic challenges that we face.
I don't expect it with that personality. I don't expect it.
Right, but sometimes we can be pleasantly surprised, so we never know what might come. Let's just look at our own guy here. That it's impossible. People say ignore him. Guy? Alan Chasney. Didn't Alan Chasney run to Trinidad to congratulate what's his name? Rowley won and so on, and to take pictures and this sort of thing. You wonder now that he's in opposition, whether he feels the same. You wonder now that he's in opposition, whether he's going to go up to London for the photo op, with Keir Starmer and those kinds of people. And we have seen the relationships. They no longer follow the traditional historical pattern of fraternal ties and this kind of thing.
And you mentioned Barbados, and they have Labour parties of their own. They have more than one Labour party.
Yes.
Let's just say, for our example, let's say Richard Frederick. He calls himself an independent Labour. His views, his ideologies do align with the Labour Party when we look at building the country from the ground up, from the grassroots. But let's say he's disenchanted with the Labour Party right now and decides to form his own party or independent. Will he not still be Labour?
Indeed. For example, let's look at another Labour Party in the OECS. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, a lot of time you get a feeling that many other Labour parties and what you would consider historically fraternal other parties, they probably kept the Antigua Labour Party at arm's length. They probably did not get themselves to be seen to be too chummy with them, and we know the reasons why. There was some legacy issues. There were some perceptions of corruption and nepotism and a family-centered, kind of grip on it and so on.
Is it really a perception, Shelton?
That sustained itself and so on. So many other Labour parties probably would not have wanted to be seen to be embracing the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party at that time. However, since that time, we know new leadership has taken over and has tried to, if we can say, to sanitize, that perception.
And the same thing can happen with the United Workers Party.
Yes, it can happen. So basically, there will be a greater embrace. So at different times, practicalities and so on, and interest, have to square and have to align. If, for example, we know that in Guyana, the PNC was regarded as the traditionally black party and so on, and the PPP as the Indian leaning party. But now we see that, with the advent of Bara Jagdeo, even way back, and Chedi Jagan, you got the sense that there was that greater reaching out of solidarity with the others. Jagdeo especially, he's offering land. You want to come to Guyana? We have a lot of land. Come and farm, and we'll, allow you from the other CARICOM countries to invest. He would have said, invite, Americans and people who are rich and so on. He wants Caribbean people to come. What's his name? The president, Irfan Ali and so on. You get that sense of a more Caribbean solidarity. Now, I'm not saying the others didn't have it, but you got a stronger sense of Caribbean solidarity than you got from where you would have said the black, people and that sort of thing. So, sometimes, like I said, be prepared to be pleasantly surprised. Things are not always what you expect or project them to be or anticipate them to be because of what is on the paper. Sometimes you can find some surprisingly good overtures from people you would least expect
and
it from.
There's a lot in geopolitics that we don't we don't know about, we're not privy to. We can only assess based on what we see in the news, but we do not know what the negotiations, the discussions that go behind closed doors. And even when we look at a country like the US, when we look at the hear the reports regarding the economy, and can we even trust that? You know, there may be some behind the door discussions and plays at work that we don't know about. We can only judge it based on what we see.
Someone sent a message saying, "Hi, Miguel needs to be careful how he questions a medical professional's manner of assessment." Just my bit. What's that with reference to?
I think that was reference to the certificate, the medical certificate. Caller, I hold no bones to that, and these are things that have been disclosed to me from people who have actually gone through the system. There are medical professionals who just give somebody. Listen, when I had to do my certificate 20 something years ago to get my driver's permit, I didn't spend a minute inside the doctor's office to see that my eyesight is good and my awareness is good. So caller, I am not targeting any particular medical professionals, but I am saying that it happens. And you could ask people around, they could tell you want a medical certificate. A doctor would, a doctor who's your friend can just decide, okay, fine. And it may not be out of just passing you because you may not pass, but I may know you. I may be a doctor and I may know that your eyesight is fine and whatever, and just sign it without actually doing the particular check at the time. But I will not discount the fact, and call, you should not discount the fact, contributor, that I do know what I am talking about. I'm not just speaking that is from any suggestion or suppositions. These are things that I have experienced and people whom I've spoken to have experienced.
Yes, okay. All right. Let me just see if I can. There was someone else who. Okay, let me place a call to the Director of Maritime Affairs, Mr. Christopher Alexander FIFA, who I think wants to speak about something pertaining to, SLASPA and the ports and so on. So let's say, good afternoon, Mr. Alexander. You are live on The Real Issues.
Yes, good afternoon, I'm Sheldon, and good afternoon, I'm Miguel.
Good afternoon.
Sheldon, thanks for giving me that platform. I appreciate that again.
Yes, go right ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
So Sheldon, I was reporting on in terms of the boating situation within the Soufrière vicinity. That's the Bay. And first of all, I wanted to just express my empathy with the fishers, both the fishermen and the boat operators that engage in activities. And myself, representing SLASPA, the Maritime Division, we paid a visit to Soufrière along with the Marine Police Commander, just to carry out an assessment and see how we can continue with the boating activity in Soufrière, knowing the importance that the Soufrière area play in terms of our tourism product. And what I'd like to report, Sheldon, is that both of the three jetties in Soufrière, they were severely impacted by the Hurricane Beryl. However, we've gone ahead and to do some alternative plans, wherein the northern jetty, which is the fisheries jetty, SRDF and for our advice that they will be replanking that jetty, and boats will be allowed, once the planking is done, to come alongside to drop off passengers, wherein it be either nationals or visitors. And after that's completed, those boats will have to go secure on a mooring that will be placed just off the fisheries jetty. The other plan we have, Sheldon, is that the jetty that is opposite the police station, part of it will also be replanked and will be utilized. However, there will be several caution signs put up to show that only part of that jetty will be utilized for boating activity. The other jetty that is close to the gas station, which is further south, that jetty will be blocked off completely since there is structural damage to that wall jetty. So that's the three areas that we assessed. Also, Sheldon, as we speak now, there are quite quite a few boats that are at the northern end where the beach area is, and they are allowing the guests to go ashore by beaching those vessels. It's not something that we advise as per a safety regime. However, because of the existing situation, we wanted to urge the boating community to exercise even further caution when they do that activity. We don't want no boat to be swamped by a wave or anybody get injured by a propeller. So that's the quickest way in which we can recommend boating activity, by doing working with SRDF and the Marine Police and SMMA, and as well as the parliamentary rep, for us to restart commercial activity in the boating activity that is in the Sufre area.
So when people use the means of what you say to to beach a boat and so on, are they not risking damage to the underside of the boat that later on you can discover when you are at sea and you start taking in water and so on? Is that ever a concern, or are the underside of the boat strong enough for that?
But that's a valid point, but most of those boats, they are fiberglass laden, so that's why we don't encourage that activity in a prolonged manner. So once the jetties, the alternative means have been put in place, then we will have that beaching discontinued. But yes, Shannon, it can have some minor damage or maybe major with continuous use. But it's only for a short term that will be permissible. And if you don't mind, Shannon, the other issue I wanted to bring up on your platform, please,
yes,
is in terms of, Shannon, we know that the carnival season is upon us, and we're expecting quite a few boats from overseas to come down to partake in our carnival activity and then doing boat rides. And Shannon, we've seen, and you spoke eloquently in terms of the issue on the land side, in terms of the safety violations and concerns. And at the Maritime Division, we also have a concern in terms of the speakers that are being brought on board those boats, Sheldon. When the manufacturer actually made those boats, there was not allocation to have 10 feet high speakers at the stern or the back of those vessels, Sheldon.
Wow.
And what happens is that, Sheldon, the captain visibility is obscured at both the starboard towards the stern, as well as the port, the left towards the stern. So in the event of somebody going over the side, or the captain wanting to berth the vessel, he will be severely handicapped. So that is an issue, Shannon, that we want to be stressed almost immediately. And we've written to the boat owners, the boat operators, as well as the insurance companies, that type of activity in terms of putting those stored speakers at the stern of those boats, it will not be allowed, it will not be entertained, and that is in keeping within the laws of St. Lucia, the collision regulations, wherein the captain must see towards the stern of the boat, Sheldon. Also, he must hear if there is an emergency call. So we've also stipulated that the boat captains, they will have to have a VHF radio attached to the hip and an earpiece. So in the case of an emergency or somebody falls in the water, that the captain can hear and beyond the loudness of the music on board. So we're hoping to take corrective measures to preempt an imminent risk or loss of life without hampering person's economic lifeblood. So we're not saying no boat ride, we're saying that the heights of the speakers will have to be reduced almost immediately to save lives and to protect the boat and the captain as well, Sheldon.
All right, so we have two issues here. We have obstruction of the line of sight of the boat captain and whoever is controlling the helm and so on, and we also have sensory impediment, in that the ability to hear as you're supposed to engage your senses if what you're doing, the loudness of whatever is going through those speakers is impeding it as well. I think this is a worthy points to bring out. Miguel has a question he wants to ask you. Let's see if we can. Yeah.
Well, my brother, before I get to the question, I just want to make a statement. I find that we're a bit late on that, because we've been having boat rides in that style from time immemorial. Is there anything in particular that would have prompted the SLASPA to act on that at this point? Have we seen an increase in any incidents of that nature where those changes otherwise, if you had not made them, otherwise would have resulted in death or serious injury?
Okay, well, thank you. Sheldon, as in anything else, when it comes to safety is always an evolving, and you always have to cater for changing situations. Before a few years ago, persons were having the short speakers, but in terms of the popularity and the demand for bigger and louder music, we've noticed a gradual or quick uptick in terms of the heights of the speakers being placed on board those vessels. And we're saying, why not now? So we're saying that the situation is being addressed now, and that is the way to look at it. It's being addressed now to preempt any loss of life or major damage. So it's being done now rather than not at all. So, but we're saying that when we receive reports from the boating community, through our own due diligence, we've realized the risk that is for the boaters, our nationals, also our visitors, and we've taken the necessary action to preempt any death which imminently it may occur. We don't address the situation now. Great. So it's been addressed now, and I wanted to appeal to our boating community, the boat operators, the owners and insurance companies to work with us for us to protect our person's life. My key objective is to protect person's life on a boat, also the vessel itself. So that is my key objective. Okay. And we've commenced something now, and we want to broaden the scope for safety, Mr.
Well, Mr. Alexander, this is the question I wanted to get to is where are we as it relates to the demarcation of the North in terms of a model similar to the SMMA, because I think that's where we've had the most concentration of accidents involving jet skis and swimmers. So is there anything in process? I think that it's been years coming.
So, Sheldon, again, Miguel, your question is well noted. SLASPA have already ordered the demarcation equipment, and by this week, next week, I can be certain, because it's 3 weeks now since they shipped those the equipment down. So within the next week or two, the equipment will be on island. We've ordered a serious investment in that safety at Rodney Bay. Mm-hmm. So that the demarcation will be in place within the next month or two once the equipment gets on island, and that too will enhance safety in Rodney Bay for our sea beavers, and hopefully it will mitigate the risk to sea beavers, and also allow us a chance to properly coordinate the boating activity within the north of the island. So I wanted to assure you, Miguel, that the equipment will be on the island by this month, certainly by this month, and then you will see the actual implementation of the demarcation within the Rodney Bay area.
Okay, I need one more assurance that I get the exclusive interview once this happens.
All right.
Yes, I'm a Sheldon. Again, thanks for the platform, Sheldon. I always welcome your platform. I think maybe the Marine Police Commander, Sheldon, may be trying to call you as well, to speak to in terms of the Viewfort jetty being damaged, the one by the Marine Police unit. So you may get a call from the Marine Police Commander, Mr. Frederick.
But let me ask you, our new Miku jetty, and by extension, the one at Pral, you know my interest in those areas. We okay, right? We know nothing. Our new Miku jetty was unscathed.
Huh? Yes, it's unscathed, but what we'll do, Sheldon, is that we intend to put lights on those jetties, because it's important, Sheldon, that when our fishers are leaving early in the morning or coming back maybe in the evening time, that there are lights on the jetty to guide them safely. So we'll be working with the fishers, the Department of Fisheries to ensure the appropriate lights are placed on those jetties for us to enhance the safety of the fishers when they're operating to and from our fishers' jetties around the island.
Okay, so Prali and Miku, we good, you saying for now, okay?
We good.
Yes, for now, I'm Shelton, we good.
All right, okay, well, now that means that leaves you free to go and look after Viewport.
Thank you, Shelton, for the platform.
Thank you very much, thanks a lot, okay? All right.
Yes, good, bye-bye.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
But you know, Shelton.
Mr. Christopher Alexander, the Director of Maritime Affairs at the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, was the man just now on the line with us. Yes,
now,
Miguel,
Shelton, Christopher. Christopher mentioned the speakers on the boats, but then I have a terrible concern with the speakers on the vehicles.
I see a car.
Shelton.
A stack of speakers on top.
But when we get back, we'll get into that because I did have a conversation with a gentleman who's part of the Vehicle Sound System Association, and he spoke to me about a few. I was concerned about the aerodynamics, number one of this, and number two, that the noise it creates. Are
they tethered properly?
Are they tethered properly? That's
because people don't understand. The whole motion, simple physics. You don't need to go and study it. That one of those things comes loose, it flies off. It hits somebody on the windscreen or something.
With the velocity, with
the absolute catastrophe it can cause. Sometimes, even if it doesn't penetrate, the obscuration that it causes immediately, the startling effect that it has, that somebody slamming on their brakes and so on, it can cause catastrophic damage. Or if the person has to brake suddenly, you jam your brakes on this thing. Are they tethered in a manner that forward movement, that they don't fly off like post, somebody having post on a little truck, you jam your brakes or whatever, a post comes flying off, that can go through somebody's windscreen.
Remember the Kenny Foster accident? The other gentleman who died in that, he was a few years with me at college. I knew him very well, Kerry. And interestingly, after that accident, a very close friend of mine who did the same thing stopped. What they had, these wagons, and they would take the headrest off the front seats, and the entire back seat and trunk would be speakers only. Now in that accident with Kenny, the speakers were not tethered properly, and in the collision they came forward and broke his neck. And he didn't have a headrest. People
don't understand the notion of force. I see some people transporting posts, lumber, and they don't know if one of those posts comes loose, whether flies towards somebody at the back or you brake and it goes forward. The velocity that this thing can travel with and so on, and it goes through somebody and can take off their head.
And what's worse, even without a little red, a red piece of cloth or something indicating that there's a danger, they don't do it. In fact, it's not tethered properly. They don't even have a signal saying I'm carrying something that's potentially dangerous to you as a driver.
So like what you said about the whole vehicle, the aerodynamics, the whole center of gravity matter of your vehicle and so on.
In fact, what he said to me is that the entire roofing it's actually built to withstand a certain weight and amount of force, and these things are actually weighing on it. For they're compromising the integrity and the strength of these
a whole lot of things that you change there with that thing, and people only think about the fun and the music and all of that. And the road is not a place for getting our rocks off. That's not what it is about. It is about facilitating us to travel from one point to the other safely. You go making modifications to your vehicle, whether organic modifications to the chassis or whatever that you go and do, or all these external additions and accoutrements and so on that you add. You are changing the basic physics and aerodynamics and center of gravity and a whole other thing of your vehicle, that in the event of any stress put upon it, the stress of a collision, the stress of sudden braking, the stress of sudden acceleration and so on, you can cause catastrophic consequences.
My car on the side has a plate stating the tires, the size of the exact size of tires you're supposed to use. But I am confident. Well, I'm comforted, I should say, that the gentleman I spoke to said that they're actually speaking with the police in terms of regulating and drafting laws regarding those speakers. I think they're going to make it illegal pretty soon.
Okay. This is The Real Issues. Let's take a break, and when we come back, the telephone lines will be open for your calls, and we'll also try to read some of your messages.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's supplements.
The man.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with The Real Issues. Today, Friday, the 5th day of July 2024. Our final program for the week, and we want to hear from you. The telephone lines are open now for your calls. It's 487-9849 is the mobile number on which you can WhatsApp call us. Don't try the 724 anymore. It's 487-9849. You can WhatsApp call us on that. And you can also use the landline 4533911. In studio with me as my co-host today, Miguel Fevrier. So if you have any questions for him, and he's apparently been getting some messages, and in fact someone just messaged me to ask for some information from him where you still think that he is the communications
I am not
at infrastructure. He's not anymore. He's either moved on or he's in between assignments and so on. So I don't think he can, or he has the
at this
permission.
point I'm focused more on school at this point. So
All right.
I think there's someone asked a question regarding the lights. I do know that following the installation of all the street lights, there is another process which was ongoing regarded the evaluation of the intensity of the lights and the amount of reach of those lights, and that included a project where they were going to add extra lighting in areas where they realized that the LED lights, unlike the high pressure sodium that gives a 360 view or 360 area illuminated, the LEDs are just straight down. It's just in one area. So I think there is a program at this point going on looking at replacing or supplementing that lighting with newer lights.
Okay. Miguel, what are your plans for the weekend? I mean, what do you plan to do? I know you're a man, you like your little beer and so on, but there's another drink that has become very
Bounty?
Oh, boy. Not Bounty. Oh, I mean, I think about that.
Don't tell me ginger ale, sir. I do.
Do we have that, Jaquan? Do we have
I love this. And make sure my friend Twatine gets a plug too.
Yeah, I heard that Twatine.
Oh, Lord.
I heard that Twatine have a boss song that he dropped into.
It's an old song, you know.
Yeah, for
he never competed, but he added some lyrics. And he called me earlier today and he gave me an insight into some of his new lyrics because we're going to enjoy it. Trust me.
All right. So for this weekend, prepare yourself when you see people fleece you for a bounty or whatever. I have nothing against bounty, but prepare to tell people, say ginger election.
Ginger election.
Philippe J.Pierre, super ba moi wam, ma mele, moto de, se wam luka boy.
That's a well ginger real guy. That's a well ginger real guy. 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 Real guy. Well ginger 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 real guy. That's a well ginger real guy. That's a well ginger real guy. 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 Well ginger real guy.
Yeah, my people, this one is for the Tempiners, and tell them that Tempiners could sing Califoku. Kaiso. Come to govern, Philippe J.Pierre is the best. Right now the country is making progress. We're not going back to no stupid man. Tell Alan Chasney, stay with his Kokoro Ram. Philippe J.Pierre put 1 million in the distress fund. Tell me, what better than that? Chasney, what better than that? Housing project already over 10 million. Tell me, what better than that? Mangal, what better than that? Shasta in Canada, and British Prime Minister. Tell me, what better than that? Ring the bell, what better than that? Kaiso. So much money they waste, and less bubble in the place. Treat poor people bad, oh what a big disgrace. Now Philippe J.Pierre, putting people first. First got my people, we have passed the worst. The National Trust get back their subvention. Tell me, what better than that? Nancy, what better than that? The Rastas can now smoke the marijuana. Tell me, what better than that? Bradley, what better than that? Philippe J. will finish St. Jude Hospital. Tell me, what better than that? Guy Joseph, what better than that? say put out this government, flambo arara. They go in by parliament to quarrel with the bar. But Philip J. Pierre, I concern with them. He just working hard to solve our problem. Marjorie happy, she get lent and plenty money. Tell me, what better than that? Spider, what better than that? Scootron will get all the laptops again. Tell me, what better than that? We go what better than that? Bananas going back to England again. Tell me, what better than that? Easy girl, what better than that?
All right, Miguel. So we've gotten, as we can say, a double dose.
Oh, yeah.
Macabawum, ginger ale,
what better
and
than that?
And then what better than that? What better than that? What better than ginger ale, and shandy and so on, instead of rum, which can cause you to do,
I beg to disagree, but for police purposes,
I wasn't including beer, I wasn't including.
I like my bounty too.
Okay, all right, okay.
I don't drink it with ginger ale or
right.
ginger ale or any ale.
All right, knock yourself out. Once you don't knock yourself out at the wheel, okay?
Once at home.
Yes.
But Shelton, it's going to be a busy weekend. We have tomorrow the Soca Monarch finals. Tonight's the intercommercial.
Yes.
Twatina, I'm supporting you. Although during my karaoke, I'll make sure I try to get some live feeds and make sure I put the intercommercial out.
Right.
Next week we do have the rest of the national activities. I assume we should have taken place this week, including King and Queen of the bands and these things leading up to Carnival. It's funny that with Carnival came so quickly. I mean, following jazz, that even at this point, I don't even realize that we're actually in the middle. We're almost at the climax of Carnival. We're about a week and a half away, less than a week and a half.
You're still trying to catch your breath. You're still trying to wrap your head around it.
I have a lot going on this.
Don't worry,
man.
FIFA, Mr. Alexander of Maritime Affairs told us that this year we won't have to struggle in our heads to deal with Bam Bam Wall. But at least they're going to try to make sure we don't have Bam Bam Waves. So if we already have Bam Bam Wall, that's going to have us completely, blown away and so on. They're going to make sure that after burial that we don't have Bam Bam Wave troubling us. Okay. All right. I think we have the lotto coming up now. Is that what Jaquan is saying?
A caller?
No. Let's leave the call. We can't take calls now. We're going to say goodbye now. Thank you very much, Miguel, once again. I'm sorry about that caller, but the time has come upon us. Let's go out with another, version or mix of Macabawum, okay? And that's it for our week of the real issues. Thank you so very much, everyone, for having been part of it. Let's do it again, God willing, all things equal, next week, starting Monday from 12:30 to 2 on Real FM Radio, MBC Television, the Facebook Live, and of course the YouTube streaming. Shelton Daniel, on behalf of Miguel and Jaquan, signing out. No, not signing out, fading out with Macabawum.
Macabawum.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's some of you almost drink too much gas. Bartenders, big up yourself. Yes, sir. Story. From time you see them man come by your bar and they're looking to frost, just tell them that Macabawum, 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 Macabawum. He said, look about you, ginger election, ginger election.
Big 4, 6, 3, 7, 5. Big 4 multi-X FP. Pick 2, 7, 2. Pick 2 multi-X 2X. 1 off. 5, 9, 1. Lucky 3, 3, 9, 9. Lucky 3 multi-X 2X.
Now back to
oh, hey, that's some of you almost drink too much gas. Bartenders, big up yourself. Yes, sir. Story. From time you see them man come by your bar and they're looking to frost, just tell them that Macabawum, 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 Macabawum. He said, look about you, ginger election, ginger election, ginger election, ginger election, ginger election, ginger election, ginger election. Whoa, Macabawum, 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 Macabawum. He said, look about you. Ginger election day. 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 Whoa. If you think that is the kind of song you waiting for, first. It's a pasa. Your money in your pocket is yours, so do what you want with it. Big up yourself. BJP. The one in the building. No COVID-19, we outside. Yes, I. Now drink responsibly, okay? Alright. Macabawum. 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 Macabawum.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417.